If you take a look at Wishlist for NHL 21, one of the common features you're going to see a lot of is GM Connected. For those that haven't experienced it, GM Connected was an online version of franchise mode that existed very briefly on the last generation of consoles. It was introduced in NHL 13, only to be abandoned after the series made the jump to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. In the years following its release, EA Vancouver reported that only a select number of NHL gamers actually played the mode. EA producer Sean Ramjagsingh stated that GM Connected was one of their lowest played features, but he did add that they'd look to revisit it in the future. This is understandable to a point. With a game mode like GM Connected, EA is making something for their more devout fan base. It isn't going to get the same amount of attention as HUT or EA Sports Hockey League, and it certainly won't be anywhere near as lucrative. Something that Rammer is ignorant to, however, is the reality of what GM Connected was. The game mode in itself was slow and broken. It functioned in sim periods where you could play 2 weeks of the season at a time, but advancing to a new period could take up to 15 minutes. So when you have a system in place that prevents players from actually playing for 15 minutes, forcing them to sit and wait, a lot of people are naturally going to lose interest. It just wasn't polished enough, and that was a huge factor in the reality of its failure. If a future iteration of this feature is going to be more successful, it can't have these issues. It needs to be faster, it needs to be easier to access, and even then, who knows how much more attention the mode will actually get. Despite all of its flaws though, I want to talk about the magic of GM Connected. The highs and lows of this game mode were some of the most empowering but also devastating moments that I've ever experienced in a video game. And some of this has to do with the fact that I'm a huge fucking nerd, but try and stick with me here. A large factor in the fun that I had with GM Connected was because of who I was playing with. On average, we'd have anywhere from 6 to 10 people in a league, and the majority of us were all from the same town. This meant that things were personal, making games all the more competitive, and holy shit, did it ever get ugly. I remember losing in the Stanley Cup Finals to my friend Brennan, who's another content creator on this channel, and I was absolutely destroyed. After the loss, I was left sick and shaking in pure disbelief, and in the coming days, Brennan went on to Photoshop an image of his championship team, and of course, he sent it to me. I was heartbroken, and in response, I drafted a plan. The next time I was at his house, I left with one of his most prized possessions, a Jeff Schultz bobblehead, and upon getting home, I recorded a video of me destroying Jeff Schultz with a pair of Hoth boots. I even recall a few instances in which we'd actually get together because of GM Connected. That's 6 or 7 smelly fucking boys huddling into a basement just to watch how a GM Connected series would play out.
Carter playing shell.
In retrospect, these things are pretty fucking goofy, and I have numerous other memories of GM Connected that I could go on about, but all I'm getting at is that GM Connected was special. It was intense. It tested your ability to build a team as well as how you used it against other players. I absolutely adore GM Connected. I love it, and I miss it very, very dearly. I care about it so much that if NHL 21 was released and the only new addition to the game was GM Connected, I would be thrilled. That's how much I enjoyed this mode, and quite honestly, I don't think we're going to get it on this generation of consoles. The way that things have gone, it doesn't point in that direction. These games are still a train wreck. They are still very, very under-polished, and I just don't see it happening. With that said though, I would love to get back into NHL 14 and start up another GM Connected league. So, if anyone out there watching this video, I know we don't have a lot of views right now, but if you love GM Connected as much as I do, as much as the Bumpa boys do, leave a comment, let us know. Let's get a GM Connected league going. I would love just to get back into it, make some content from it, further dive into this was just excellent mode, what I believe to be a large part of the pinnacle of this series. But again, thank you very much for the view. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave your thoughts, give us a like if you enjoyed it. Follow us on social networking, take a look at our Instagram, our Twitter, whatever it might be. Thank you very much, guys. I am Tate, and I am out.